Welcome to the Mum CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roach. Join me as we explore the dynamic intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship. From the challenges to the triumphs, we're here to unravel it all. Get ready for insightful conversations, practical wisdom, and a whole lot of inspiration. Let's embark on this empowering journey together. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mum CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roach, and today I'm joined by Maureen. How are you, Maureen? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I am well. It's been manic, as we were talking about earlier, since our last meetup, or first meetup, shall I say,
Yeah, I
at the
know.
BAFTA Scotland. If you'd like to introduce yourself for the benefit of the audience, please.
Yeah, so my name is Maureen. I am a producer in Glasgow, near Glasgow in Scotland. I've been in Scotland for about 7 years. Before that, I was in London, and before that, I was in LA. And originally, I'm French. But Scotland is really where I found my creativity and took the reins of my career and really became a creative entrepreneur and a producer. And my aim, I really fell in love with the Scottish industry, and so my aim is really to support and help develop the Scottish independent screen industries.
Oh, fantastic. But you haven't mentioned another important thing, that you are a mum, isn't it?
Yes, sorry, of course, yes, and isn't it the most important part of my life? Yes, I'm a mum. I've got two kids. I have a 12-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son.
Oh, fantastic. And the thing is, with all these things going, you've got so much going on, but I'm really intrigued to find out, obviously, your journey, having started from France, and then moving, to LA and stuff. Tell us a little bit about that journey and what got you started in the film industry.
Sure. So I think I was born into it basically. So my dad was a filmmaker, is a filmmaker. But he was an independent filmmaker in France, and he never really managed to make what he wanted to make, basically. So he was kind of a struggling artist, if you like. But what that meant was, I mean, he's also very. I was raised in a very Catholic household, very I would say, like in the 80s, like, France, like a very strict household. But I could see from the people that were coming around the table talking to my dad about projects, like those were people high in colors and, vibrant and fully expressing their creativity. And that awakened something in me that I wanted to be like them. I wanted to talk to them. And so I was really lucky, I guess, in that sense that I could absorb the conversations and the
Mm.
artistry and, sort of make connections with people who were, set designers and, actors and casting directors. And even though I never worked in the screen industries in Scotland, on a on a sort of emotional level, that's what got me started. And so I've never wanted to do anything else. Initially I wanted to be an actress, and then I wanted to be a director. I just wanted to be in that crucible of creativity. So I've always wanted to go to film school, and that was a sore point in my family. So my dad wanted me to carry on my studies as far as possible. So I ended up studying in Paris. I have a master's in English literature and civilization at the Sorbonne, and that was an experience. But then I had an opportunity to come to film school to LA, and that was my dream. So I gathered the money and I just got myself to 1 year practical filmmaking. I went to New York Film Academy in
Oh,
LA on the Universal campus, which was like the Universal backlot, which was just amazing. Live in Burbank and all of that. But it was after 2001, 9/11, and so getting a visa to stay. Because when I went, I was like, pack my bags, that's me, bye-bye. But getting a visa to stay was really hard. And I ended up, when I knew I had to come back to Europe, I had been in London before, and I'm the one French person you'll meet who doesn't like French cinema. So
Wow.
I know, give me a blockbuster, give me Fast and Furious any day of the week. Just no French New Wave for me. So I just felt like, especially in that time at the Sorbonne, I just felt at the time I was going to all the test screenings and all the, that scene. And I felt like I was seeing the same film over and over again. And it just felt like it was very navel gazing. It was very in your head. Like I just needed something to a bit more like high spectacle kind of thing, like, adrenaline and everything. So I went back to London instead of going back to Paris and integrated the film industry there. So I ended up in Ealing Studios,
Oh,
which was
yes.
an amazing experience. So I ended up meeting with Chris Jones, who runs the London Screenwriters Festival, the Guerrilla Filmmakers Handbook, like all of like the OG guerrilla filmmaker. Just like, do it no matter what, just keep going. Don't ask for permission and all of that. So that was really liberating, but I really needed a job to, live in London. And he helped me get a job in the Met Film School, which was on the Ealing Studio campus. Um, and I stayed there for 5 years and sort of went through the ranks, and it was a really good experience. Especially, I think when I look back, it's probably where I started producing really, because I still saw myself as a director and as a filmmaker, and like and there's still a little bit of me that like at some point I'd love to direct a film, but I think producing plays to my natural strengths and the human connection. And, I love building relationships and supporting and all of that, supporting people. And yeah, so, and I think that started with the students actually, supporting them to reach their full potential.
Yeah.
Um, and then I became an agent for post-production talent, so graphic designers, editors, and I set up the agency's directing pool. And I stayed there for 5 years, and then I had my first. Actually, through that time, I had my daughter. Um, and so with one child in London, that was okay. You can keep going. And
Yeah.
um, I always feel like as a mom with one child, you kind of you like to pretend that you can just do whatever you did before, but just with one child, like a young
Yeah.
child. So like, and
Exactly.
there's a little bit, yeah, and there's a little bit of power that comes like, look at me. Like whatever you can do, I can do it with a child on the toe, and
Yeah.
like,
Far from
um,
reality.
yeah, it's a mirage, but then my second child came in 2018, and the catalyst for the big move to Scotland was the fact that my husband got diagnosed with a neurological disease, neurodegenerative disease. So he's got Huntington's, and that was the catalyst. Also because, as turns out, it's genetically inherited, so that puts both of our children at risk. So when I was in the neurologist office, and they looked at me and they were like, "You're going to be the only breadwinner in the next 5 years." I just got goosebumps again. Like something happened where it sort of realigned my whole life perspective. I was like, I've always like I feel like I'm in the film industry. Like I feel like I'm contributing, and I live in Richmond in this nice little one-bedroom apartment, and I can see Tom Hardy from my window. And do you know what I mean? Like I was just there enough that I could feel like I was, in the right space. But that just crushed everything. I was like, actually, I don't have the reins of my career right now. I'm not, so it really prompted me to think, what is it that lights me up from the inside? Because
Mhm.
if I'm going to get up every morning and carry my family through life's ups and downs and, whatever challenges is ahead, I'm going to need to resource myself to make sure that I actually get up every day. And so I really dug deep to see, what is it that lights me up? And so Scotland had been calling for a little bit, just meeting people. And Brexit is the first time that we actually really had spoken about, where would we go if London didn't work out, kind of thing. Scotland voted to stay in the EU, and then there were other little signs. But really, at that time, I was on my maternity leave for my son, and I was watching Outlander. And I just fell into it and I loved the world. I loved, and I could see, I think maybe in the producing fiber in me, could see that there are some projects that just move the needle. And I think in my lifetime, there were probably two projects that like kind of almost rearranged gravity in the film world, if you know what I mean. Like one of them was Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, for
Oh
what it
yeah.
did for New Zealand. And people were flocking, I think, to like if I'd been I was probably just a bit too young to really, get up and go.
Mm.
But if I'd been a bit older, I would have packed my bags and gone to New Zealand, and knocked on Peter Jackson's door. But Outlander has that kind of gravity, it's that kind of project that, strikes something in people. And, a lot of people, I know now a lot of people who moved to Scotland because of Outlander on
Oh,
many different levels, like because they read the books and loved it, or, something called them. And so what happened is, I still don't know how, but I was thinking about Outlander, I was thinking about Scotland, and I got an email in my inbox, and I don't remember signing up to anything, but basically saying, one of those apprenticeship schemes where Outlander was looking for, trainees for second unit directing and, first
wow.
ADs and all of that. And so I was like, that's a sign. So I applied, and in my mind, like I made sure I knew who was recruiting, etc. In my mind, I was going to get it. So I started making arrangements basically, and they wanted someone who could commute to the studios, which is in Cumbernauld. So I just Googled Cumbernauld.
Oh God. Wow.
And just basically within 6 weeks, I'd put my all our belongings in a man with a van and put my family on the night bus up to Glasgow.
Wow.
And that was 6.5 years ago, and I never looked back. It was in hindsight, it was a leap of faith, but it's been amazing. And so we got there 2 weeks later. I think I got a no from Outlander, like one of those blanket, like too many applications, can't give you feedback, but thanks for applying. And instead of sort of like, in the beginning, I was like, oh, what am I doing here? What did I just do? Uprooting us.
Yeah.
But then I like 2 days later, I think I set up my production company. I was like, well, now I'm here and I'm gonna see what I can do and contribute and yeah. So I set up Firewalker Pictures, well, at the time Firewalker Films, and just starting engaging. So yeah, just do you want me to stop talking?
No, it's also honestly, it's so interesting. The thing is, obviously we met at the BAFTAs, and it's really
Yeah,
interesting that we kind of got a decent conversation regardless of all the celebrations and everything going
I
on.
know.
But I just, everything that you're doing and all the things that you're saying, it's really, really interesting and intriguing, really, because I think it's also important, especially for the younger ones. So I have, my 15-year-old is the
Yeah,
one that loves all the acting and stuff and is an actress.
that's right. Yeah,
But the biggest thing is everything you're mentioning there, it's kind of trying to put it across to that age group that you've got to
yeah,
have something else to back yourself up because it's not easy. You're not going to have jobs all the time. What sort of advice do you have? One for,
yeah.
the younger actresses who are sort of trying to discover themselves, but also to the
Yeah.
parents, because not every parent will understand the industry or how it works.
Mm.
What kind of tips or things can they implement?
That's an amazing question. I think for the younger people out there looking to, start as an actor or anywhere in the creative industries,
Mhm.
um, when I look back on the things that really helped me through, one of the main things, it's a bit philosophical, but is really trust trust what's coming up for you, trust yourself, and listen to yourself. Because I think, especially at that age, and I'm going to say, especially, I think, as a woman, we're very looking out for validation, looking out for where we belong, looking outward. And that can be very, especially, I'm sorry, but in the acting world, that can be very damaging. So if you go in with a strong sense of who you are, obviously that's evolving, right? Like you're not the full woman that you'll be at 15, and that's
Yeah.
not what's expected. But I think listening, having that that sort of security in yourself,
Mm.
that of what you're willing to tolerate, what's not okay, what, and also where you want to be. But I
Mm.
think the main really like, and that's what I tell my daughter all the time, is just listen to yourself. Because I think when I was that age, I was so outward facing that, yeah, I kind of let myself sort of be many different things that actually probably I wasted some time because I
Yeah.
knew it wasn't for me. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also once you know really, like people will, it's an exploitative business at its core. But it can also be an amazing, like, it's
Mm.
really heaven and hell. But so if you know who you are, no one can really fundamentally take advantage of you and of your true nature, then you go more towards the, you know, hopefully fulfilling aspects of the job as opposed to, being, yeah, like having trauma basically.
Yeah.
Um, so that would be for, um, yeah, for young people. For parents, I'm gonna say, I think the idea of having, obviously, like, you want to see them evolve in the real world. So, yeah, having some kind of, as you say, backup or parallel exploration of who they are. So I
Mm.
always like, I love, there are so many interviews with, and I'm blanking on her name, Hermione in Harry Potter, in the
Oh,
first Harry
yes.
Potter. You
Yeah.
know that, Emma Watson.
Yes.
There are so many interviews where she thanks her mom for keeping her in education throughout the Harry Potter movies,
Hmm.
because that gave her a different perspective. And now that, at some point she decided to stop acting and to just pause her career, she had other strings to her bow. And I think, again, as a person, that's and as a parent, you're nurturing the person as opposed to just,
Yeah.
the actor.
Yeah.
I think having a holistic approach is absolutely the right and the healthy thing to do. As long as you're also nurturing their creative endeavors, there shouldn't be any resistance, hopefully. you know. But yeah, yeah, it's a still in adulthood, it's a delicate balance to, support yourself and to have that creative endeavor as well. But, start as you mean to go on. So
Mm.
yeah.
No, absolutely. And it's really interesting the things that you've picked up, especially, even from the parents' perspective and stuff, because like that's how we do our things in the house.
Yeah.
And a lot of things with you are similar. We're a Catholic household as well. So we have all those similarities. So we still keep, those foundations. And I think it is
Yeah.
important. And, I do worry though nowadays because there's so much on social media. There's so many things that are
Yeah.
saying, this is how you're supposed to look. This is how and there's so much insecurity in the younger ones.
Yeah. And anxiety, and it's the same for my 12-year-old, and I wonder where it comes from, because I don't think fundamentally she's insecure or anxious. For me, it dates back to COVID. I think something happened, for
Mm.
them internally in COVID, I think.
Yeah.
That's my reading of it. But I agree, and social media is not helping. And then you've got to have AI.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
really
Yeah.
educating myself on AI and where that's going right now, because I have a feeling it's already seeping into my household, and in
Yeah.
the way that, our even the 7-year-old kind of consumes content, whatever is coming up on YouTube, like I always try to keep him on YouTube Kids, but I can tell that every once in a while he slips towards YouTube and all of that. And I can
Mm.
see, so I'm becoming a bit more present to that. That's going to be a challenge for sure.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you mentioned that. I was actually talking to one of the she was actually on my podcast last week. She's a GP over in Scotland. And she did
Wow.
mention, those we spoke about use of mobile phones, but the tech and how we can actually make it's part of it's here to stay. And,
Yeah.
and it's almost like, the whole thing of saying, oh, you can't allow them. It's almost like you need to teach them to be safe and to understand
Yeah.
what's happening rather than just they don't know anything, then they jump on it and then they're confused or they do
100%.
the wrong thing because they don't have that experience. So I suppose it's again us guiding them, isn't it?
100%. And it's such a big part of their socialization right now.
Yeah.
So, at school, like so right now so my daughter is really good at respecting the rules. So if you give her rules ahead of time,
Yeah.
she'll color within the lines. And, she understands that she's had a few things where she got scammed on her favorite game. And so she's
Oh,
already
yeah.
had a few experiences. And so now she's really good at asking ahead of time if, this is coming up on my screen, is that okay? Like, we have a proper dialogue. My 7-year-old, he's just going for it. And so I realized, and I have to be, as a parent, I think you have to be really present. Like, and I realized, so he's on Roblox. He only ever wants to play Roblox, which is a big bone of contention in my household right now, because he's realized how to, if he hits something that he doesn't understand or can't do, because I've put all the parental controls, he figured out how to set up a new account.
Oh, right.
And so he spins all these new accounts, and then I realize he's talking to people on chats, to people he doesn't know. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, no. So he's been banned for 3 weeks now, and I'm like, I don't want to even phase it back in. But then at
Mm.
school, everyone is on Roblox, and
Yeah.
so it's yeah,
It's tough.
it's yeah, it's and you really, I think as a parent, it's really. And especially when you're a working mom and a mom CEO and all of that,
Yeah.
like, you have to be really yeah, make time to be present and understand what's going on for them. Um, but yeah, it's definitely here to stay, and yeah.
And how, apart from, obviously we've spoken about the social media side and, tech and everything else, how is life around your two little ones? Well, they're still little, nearly a teen, but
Yeah. Yeah, so here in Scotland, my daughter is 12, and so we just navigated her going to secondary school.
right.
And so that's been actually, yeah, it's had a bit of, up and down, but actually it was really good for her.
Yeah.
And she's navigating it really well. And yeah, I'm very, again, I have a tendency to, with her, like I have a tendency to go, oh, she's fine. And then, but last year in primary 7, which is what we call,
Over
yeah,
there.
the
Yeah.
last year of primary here, yeah. Um, there were a few bumps in the road. So, I started getting messages from the school that she wasn't eating at school, that the sandwiches were going straight into the bin, that she was saying a few things, and actually also, speaking of social media, she's not on social media, but she's got WhatsApp. And we've moved a fair few times in the time that we were in Scotland. We're settled now, but there were a few. So she's gone to a fair few schools.
Yeah.
And she kept a friend from each school. And one of the friends from the first school that she went to put her in a group chat on WhatsApp with someone else who started sending my daughter pictures of themselves, as in
Right.
pictures from their private parts. So we had a few things to navigate that way. But this year, first year of secondary, which I think for a girl is a big transition,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden you've got a lot more, it feels like you've got a lot more peer pressure, and it's a
Yeah.
bigger school and all of that. But I think she's navigated it really well so far. And her confidence seems to really have blossomed, which is great. That said, there's a couple of programs that are in S1, for a transition, where she's basically taken out of the timetable, and she's got some counseling time and some, they're really nurtured, it feels,
Mm.
because she was coming from a small village school, and
Yeah.
I was worried that she would lose that, one-on-one almost like time. And but yeah, no, I mean, she's doing great.
Oh, fantastic.
And the 7-year-old, yeah. And the 7-year-old is just a little spark of spark of something. But he's all, um, you know, he's
Full of
all
energy.
energy, very little focus. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's doing well as well. Right now we're working on emotion regulation.
Yeah. But the thing is, like you say, with all that, you can't kind of block that the joy that he has, or that whole energy that he has. Is just how to work with him and his energy and everything. It's never easy being a parent, is it?
No, there's always some curveballs somewhere. Um, but yeah, exactly. I think you nailed it. I think that's exactly right. It's trying to channel, the energy while not quashing it,
Yeah.
basically.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's the
And
balance.
when we met, obviously, with the children and everything, which sparked our conversation anyway. We spoke about loads of things given where we were. And you've got an exciting project
Yeah,
on your hands that you spoke to me about.
yes.
Tell us a little bit, if you can, if you're able to talk about it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Yes. So, earlier this year, actually, I should backtrack and say before that, like, so I've been in Scotland about 6.5 years, and really, so I moved to Cabernauld because there was a studio where they shoot Outlander, and because I didn't get the job on Outlander, I started looking at. I felt safe moving us to Scotland because in London. I've been and in LA, like I've always been in studios, and so I know studios are and can be, and I think should be, the ecosystem that sustains the industry.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I think I was safe. I felt safe moving to Scotland because I'd seen that there were a couple of studios, and I was like, even if I don't get a job on the production, I'll get a job within the studios. And then I realized, oh, they don't work like that here. Like it's a closed door policy. And it was really unsettling a little bit. And so I dug into it a little bit more. And then I ended up working really short, for a really short time, but with the then owner of Ward Park Studios. And then I realized, well, I know and I feel what a studio in Scotland could and should be. And at the moment, the industry is a servicing industry. So it services the productions coming from, Hollywood and London, etc. But that money doesn't seem to trickle down to the local talent, the local producers,
Mm,
the local filmmakers. So and I think we need both legs to run on if you're going to have a sustainable industry
yeah,
and a healthy industry.
absolutely.
So I set up a film studio at the time called Pioneer. But then I was still very much like creative fire and no business savvy. So I was dealing with like this massive project, and I kind of lost my power a little bit when I brought on because in my mind I was telling myself that I had no business being in business. I had the vision, but I didn't have the structure, the processes.
Mm,
So I partnered up with some people that were not from the industry. I partnered up with my then accountant. And a few months later, once we actually got it going and started having the first few productions through the door, I got maneuvered out of my own business, basically, and realized that I didn't have a handle on the things that I created. So but there followed like about 18 months, well, maybe a bit less actually. It felt like a long time, but probably almost a year of legal proceedings and just, all of that. And that's probably when I look back where I learned the most. It was painful as hell, but
mm,
that's where I learned a lot about business, about entrepreneurship, about, contracts and all of that, and about the structure of the business. So when I had to sell my shares in 2023 and they closed doors in 2023. And last year I spent my year sort of re-engaging with the industry as people as opposed to trying to set up a studio. And I still felt like, a studio would help get the Scottish industry back on track, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
on running on those two legs. But I didn't feel like it wasn't my priority anymore. So I engaged with the industry as people, as a network, etc.
Mm,
But then earlier this year, that takes us to our conversation. So the BBC announced that it was cancelling the longest standing Scottish soap that was on TV called River City, that's
mhm,
been filmed and based as a production in a site called Dumbarton Studios, for 25 years. So they announced that they were cancelling the show effective. So they're just shooting the last series of the show now, and until April 2026, and then that will be it. Um, and that in the same breath, they announced that they were not renewing the lease on the studios. Now, with my experience of facilities and studios in
Mm.
Scotland, my little spidey senses came up, and I was like, so what does that mean for the site? So I had a couple of coffees with connections from the studio world, and ended up meeting up with one of my longest standing connection with who happened to represent the current owner, and basically told me that they were going to sell or redevelop it into housing. So either way, we were gonna lose one of our main studios
Mm.
to, we were gonna lose it as an industry to something else, redevelopment, housing, whatever.
Mm.
Now, as as it happened, the conversation went, well, if I can find investors, would they consider selling? And the answer was yes. So I spent the next few weeks looking for investors, and turns out it's going to be structured slightly differently, and that those investors sort of fell through. But then I ended up, I guess, rekindling all these connections from the studio world, and I ended up getting an offer for 85% of the purchase price from a creditor, and then finding an investor for the rest. So we're in the process of buying Dumbarton Studios. That's long story short, what I'm doing, and I'm putting it as saving Dumbarton Studios, and that's not as an ego trip. Is I think to help the industry wake up to the fact that we have to value what we have, the assets we have as an industry, because otherwise we're sleepwalking into losing so many assets. And at some
Yeah,
point you just
absolutely.
wake up and you're like, how if you don't have a little bit of a big picture, then if you're grafting day by day, you don't understand how your daily choices basically impact your future and the future of the industry, etc. So yeah, I think it's going really well. I'm knocking on wood that we can get it through the line, like over the line, in the next few weeks. And yeah, start 2026 strong, and help write the next chapter for the Scottish industry.
Oh, fantastic. No, it was so exciting because I remember us kind of jumping and stuff, and it's so bizarre because it's the first time we met as well, and then we had this exciting news.
That's right. That's right, because I found the investor. I was introduced to the investor at the BAFTAs. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's just crazy how things work. So, I'm really pleased that
Thank you.
you're nearly at the finish line with everything,
Nearly
and
there.
it's really going to help with the whole preservation, which seems to be what you're passionate about, preserving that
Yeah.
homegrown talent and sort of really building and kind of supporting those actors and actresses.
Yeah, and the whole production like chain fabric, really. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I think part of the vision is also to embrace, like, there's going to be, we talked about AI and about
Yeah.
changes, in technology. I think as an industry, that's the next bit, is we're going to have to figure out what we embrace and what we
Mhm.
like, help channel that, and help
Yeah.
define that. So I really see the future of Dumbarton as a site to be that ecosystem where we come together across disciplines, games, animation, production, um, and really, yeah, help. So there's, the person I was with
Yes.
at the BAFTAs, Claire, she's doing exciting things in the realm of digital features and, digital projects. And I think that's going to be a part of, yeah, how we write the next chapter.
Oh, fantastic. No, it's really incredible, and it'll be interesting to see, your journey, how it all goes, and hopefully visit and have a look at the studios and everything one day.
Absolutely. Won't that be like full circle from the BAFTAs to,
Yeah, from the
to
BAFTAs to that, but it was so honestly, I'm still remembering the evening and when you had the news and came down, I was like, what's just happened? It's like,
Oh,
wow.
thank you. I know it felt such a heightened experience also because it was the BAFTAs, but
Yeah.
also Edith Bowman, who hosted the
Yes.
ceremony,
Yes.
actually mentioned the crowdfunding that I was doing at the time for the valuation of the site, etc., in the opening speech, and that was a kind of wow moment.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember that, with the Me Too, when she announced it at the beginning and stuff. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's honestly, I don't even know where to begin in terms of how your mind or your passion, I said maybe it's passion driving it, isn't it? Because you can't just wake up and think, oh, I'm going to do this and purchase this place. You've got to really love
No.
the industry and what you're doing.
I love what I just got goosebumps because you're right, like no one really asked me that questions, but that's exactly right. Yeah, I think I come from a place of passion and from a place of what I would like to see happen in the
Mhm.
industry. And then I guess then naturally spot opportunities that would help build that future. Whatever it is, I never set out to be in facilities or to be, someone told me, oh, now you're gonna be Mrs. Square Foot, like, how many pounds per square foot or something like that. And I'm like, that's interesting. I don't like, I don't think so. Like, I get it as part of the business plan for the studios and etc. Yes, absolutely. But it's going to be so much more than that. And I'm allowing myself to be so much more than that. And I think that's actually potentially part of the problem is that we tend to pigeonhole or you can't, especially the way this industry is going, you cannot, actors become producers, you cannot have just one hat anymore, I think, or it's very limiting. Um, and especially, I think, sorry, I'm going on a rant, but this
That's
is
fine.
something that's really present and that I'm thinking about right now is why am I doing what thanks. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And I think it's because the way this industry functions, once you set up your production company, if you start making documentaries, then that's what you're known for, and that's what you do is documentaries. Or, if you make a Netflix series, then, you keep doing that, basically more of the same. And I think it's because the industry is very risk averse but with an independent studio, and I see really the opportunity to try and explore different things
Yeah.
you know, and Scotland as, you know, storytelling as a world really still has so much more to give, I think, and so many more, and there's so much more to explore. So yeah, I think hopefully it'll be an opportunity to support many different formats and projects, and that's the goal.
Well, it's amazing news, and it's really exciting. Like I said earlier, it's gonna be, I'll be watching your journey and following as you go along. And how can people find you or collaborate with you? Because I'm sure there's a lot of scope to work with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And the moment that we get this over the line, that'll be the idea is to really populate that ecosystem. So yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. That's probably, where we connected also. That's probably the best way to connect and just, see what's possible. So I'm Maureen Hascoet on LinkedIn, and I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and my company is Firewalker Pictures. So yeah, we've got a TikTok for one of the initiatives that I run, which is the Scottish Screenwriters Festival. But I'm still very, um, yeah, I'm still not really fully aware of what's possible on TikTok. I'm forever training.
I'm exactly the
Yeah,
same. You're not the only one.
I think it's really a generation thing. Like, give me Facebook any day of the week.
Oh yeah. No, I've got one of my daughters is like, yeah, Facebook is for the older people because no young people use Facebook. I'm just like, okay, thank you. When the episode goes live, your links will be there so people can connect with you and
Amazing.
kind of, reach out to you as well. But have you got any tips at all that you want to leave the audience? A couple, one or two tips that you'd like to leave
Yeah.
the audience with?
Yeah, I think right now, if you're in a creative career, it's asking for a lot of courage and a lot of bravery.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's worth it. Like, I think the audience will know for themselves is that something that resonates, but it's worth it. I think that's one. And right now for creatives, I mean, it's a lifestyle, right? So like most of the industry is freelance, which means that that comes with a particular lifestyle and particular choices. But if you, that comes back to that tip for teenagers of, know who you are and listen to yourself. If that's something that resonates, then I think that's the never ending source of energy within you, is like authenticity, basically. Um, yeah, that would be my biggest tip, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure if I have tips for the the parenting side of things. Just very much figuring it out as we go along.
It is tough. It's not an easy one. And human beings are complicated, so it's not an easy shout to be a parent, but fair plays to us for doing it actually and managing every day, so fantastic.
100%.
Yeah. It's been
Yes.
an absolute
It
pleasure,
is.
Maureen, to have you on the show. So thank you so much for sharing and
Thank
enlightening
you.
us about what happens, on our favorite things of watching things without actually realizing what happens in the background. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been such a joy connecting with you, Esther. Thank
Thank
you.